Hi everyone, it's Lucy from My Crazy Craft Life, and I'm here today with a few cards for scrapping for less. And today I will be using the Find It Trading Christmas Reindeer dies, String of Lights by Picket fences. I really love the sentiments in there. They're large sentiments, so they can be used on a lot of different things. Santa's Workshop paper pad by Carta, the Paper Studios Snowflake embossing folder, some iridescent sequins, a Paper Smooches Merry Christmas die that I received in one of the past kits for scrapping for less, Hero Arts Mulled Wine ink pad, and then Your Next stamp in Mocha's ink pad. So for this first card, I am going to make a shaker card and put a little scene kind of in behind it. So this is going to be a 5.5 inch square card. I cut the back panel down, which is the snowflake pattern, to 5.25 inches by 5.25 inches. And then the white piece that I used the die to cut out, the circle, is 5 inches. I was kind of going back and forth on what I wanted to do, and I decided I was going to put some hills in there to kind of make it like a snow scene. So I just cut a piece of white scrap paper that I had sitting around and kind of made that into the hills. And then I was going to put the deers in, or the reindeer on there, kind of stagger them a little bit, and then pop the sequence in there as well. So I used the piece of acetate to create the shaker, and I used some really strong, very small adhesive, double-sided adhesive. And then I used some foam tape from a kit for making shaker cards that I picked up from Michael's at, I don't know when, a long time ago. And then I'm using the Nuvo glue pen, which I really liked on how it kind of came out. It's not a thin thing, a thin tip, so you will want to make sure whatever you're using it on, it's not something that's super thin, but it is very, very good, and the glue dries really fast. Then for the sentiment, I used Season's Greetings, and I stamped it with the Your Next stamp Mocha onto a plain blue piece of cardstock from the paper pad that matches the blue in the snowflake pattern piece. And then I just cut that down and popped it on there. And that is my first card. I like these dies. You can make really fun cards and have a lot of different things you can do with them by just kind of thinking a little bit outside of the box. It took me a few minutes to really kind of come up with a thought that I wanted to do, but then once I kind of started going with it, it worked out really well. I also cut the deers out for that first card in some brown cardstock that was just scrap that I had. And then I also cut it out in a wine color or a dark burgundy and some red. And then I had a Merry Christmas die from Paper Smooches that I received in a previous kit, and I cut Merry Christmas out of that one in red paper to match those red deers. Now I am stamping on the sentiment on two pieces that I'm going to be using the embossing folder on, and I'm stamping the sentiments before I use the embossing folder. And for these sentiments, I'm stamping with Hero Arts Mulled Wine ink pad. And then I am going to take that embossing folder and emboss all of those. Now for the red one, I'm using a red card base, and then I am just going to pop on that Merry Christmas sentiment after I embossed that piece of paper. And that's an A2 size card, so that one is that front panel is 4 inches by 5.25 inches. And then I'm just I used a glue pen that I had to put the sentiment on, and then the Nuvo glue to glue on the reindeers. And like I said, I really liked it to be able to get it all over the place, meaning the glue all over the place, and it really sticks well, even with the embossed card. Now you do want to make sure that you adhere the front panel onto the card before you put the sequins on like I did, but you can work around it and just adhere it down after the fact. But the next cards are A2 size cards as well, but I made the panels the entire 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I just popped them onto some white card bases. And this first one I had to cut down because I made the card base too small to begin with, and so I was just going to cut the paper down a little bit, or the card base itself. Then I added the sequins to all of these, or to both of these cards as well. And then I used the Spectrum Noir Sparkle pen on the red card after I adhered that down on the Merry Christmas and then also on the Reindeer. And then on the other 2 cards I decided to use shimmer spray instead of using the Spectrum Noir Sparkle pen because I didn't want the sparkle pen to mess up the stamped sentiment, because sometimes the alcohol in the sparkle pens can smear it or smudge it some, I guess you want to say. So I ended up just using some shimmer spray on those. And those are all of my cards for today. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you stick around after this video, you can check out a few other videos from Scrapping for Less. And I hope you enjoyed this.